July 1st, 2025, in the hot seas off Somalia, 20 speedboats tear through the waves carrying 150 pirates armed with RPGs, machine guns, and Houthi-supplied jamming drones. The horizon erupts in chaos as gunfire rips across the deck of a U.S. Navy supply ship, a disguised vessel hauling critical fuel and explosives for a carrier strike group. Explosions thunder, steel splinters fly, and the crew scrambles under a hail of bullets, their shouts drowned by the screech of engines howling like jackals. Drones flood the air with electronic noise, blinding radar in a storm of static as pirates swarm the ship's railings, hooks clawing at steel, certain they'll seize this $300 million prize for ransom. These brazen marauders, hardened by years of lawless raids, believe they've outsmarted America's might, ready to choke its naval lifeline and vanish into Somalia's chaos. But they're blind to what's coming. Just 300 nautical miles away, the USS Freedom, a towering aircraft carrier, stirs to life, its deck roaring with helicopters, MQ-25 Stingray drones, and SEALs prepped for war. What did the U.S. thermal cameras capture on that fateful dawn? Come with me and find out what happened to the sailors. The chaos erupted off the Somali coast that fateful morning. The target was no ordinary vessel. It was the logistics ship 82 Echo, a camouflaged supply ship masquerading as a weathered civilian freighter, slicing through the pirate-riddled waters to deliver essential cargo to a U.S. carrier strike group patrolling the Arabian Sea. Beneath its unassuming hull lay a treasure trove worth $300 million: high-octane jet fuel, advanced missile stabilizers, thermal ignition compounds, and encrypted avionics modules critical for powering F-35 Lightning II fighters and their long-range strike capabilities. This wasn't mere freight. It was the pulsating artery of American naval supremacy, the unseen lifeline that kept carrier decks roaring with thunder and skies filled with unbeatable air dominance. Suddenly, the ship's alarms shattered the tense calm. 20 speedboats hurtling at over 50 knots like a pack of ravenous wolves streaked across the horizon. Each craft bristled with 7 or 8 pirates, 150 in total hardened mercenaries, forged in the fires of endless coastal raids and battlefield skirmishes. Armed to the teeth with RPG-7 launchers, PK machine guns, and unmanned jammers smuggled through shadowy networks linked to Houthi suppliers, they unleashed a coordinated storm. The pirates fanned out in lethal formation. One squad hammered the deck with rocket-propelled grenades and suppressive machine gun fire, forcing the 23 American and Allied sailors to dive for cover behind steel bulkheads. Bullets ricocheted off winches, sparking like angry fireflies, while another team exploited blind spots, hurling grappling hooks and clambering aboard with bayonets fixed. The air was filled with the acrid stench of cordite and the deafening roar of engines. In under 3 minutes, the ship teetered on the brink of total loss. 3 sailors lay dead, their blood staining the deck. 5 more were gravely wounded, slumped against cargo containers as the pirates stormed the bridge, whooping in premature victory. Yet, amid the pandemonium, one defiant act shifted the tide. The captain, a grizzled veteran from Norfolk, Virginia, triggered a silent distress beacon before the horde overran the controls. The signal beamed instantly to the USS Freedom, a behemoth carrier lurking 300 nautical miles to the east. As the surviving crew retreated to the ship's reinforced stronghold, a steel Citadel equipped with emergency oxygen and encrypted radios, a defensive measure drawn from Ukrainian equivalents in besieged ports like Mariupol, they sealed the hatches, hearts pounding, but resolve unbroken. More than 20 threats converged in that moment, their jamming drones flooding the spectrum for a full 20 seconds, creating a veil of electronic blindness that could have doomed any lesser force. The anxiety was palpable. If captured, this cargo could arm terrorists or rogue states, funneling American tech into enemy hands and rippling catastrophe across global strike networks. Inside the Pentagon, alerts flashed red. This was no mere hijacking. It was a national security breach threatening the very backbone of U.S. power projection. But the crew didn't panic. Their eyes gleamed with defiance, knowing help was en route. The pirates, reveling in their conquest, had no inkling they had awakened a giant. This would not end with negotiations. It would end with explosions visible from space, still watching good. Because now comes the part where American warfighters take back the ship inch by inch. As the distress signal from the logistics ship 82 Echo pierced the tense morning air, the pirate assault intensified with a ferocity that tested every ounce of the crew's resolve. The Houthi-inspired jamming drones flooded the ship's radar with electronic static, creating a blinding fog that lasted a full 20 seconds and allowed RPGs and makeshift missiles to streak perilously close. Bullets ricocheted off the deck like angry hornets, sparking against winches and disrupting rigging as the 20 speedboats closed in their engines, roaring in unison. The American and Allied crew 23 strong returned fire from behind bulkheads with shotguns and semi-automatic rifles, their bursts disciplined but desperate. One sailor fell to a PK machine gun burst that tore through a container wall, crumpling him to the deck in a pool of blood. Two more were cut down in the crossfire, their bodies slumped against cargo stacks, while 5 others were gravely wounded, shrapnel embedding in limbs as they dragged comrades to safety. The pirates, sensing victory, hurled grappling hooks and swarmed aboard, their shouts echoing like a savage chorus boots, thundering on steel as they stormed toward the bridge. Overwhelmed by the sheer imbalance, 150 hardened raiders versus a lightly armed merchant crew, the captain barked orders to retreat. They fell back to the ship's reinforced stronghold, a steel citadel bolted with emergency oxygen and encrypted radios sealing the hatches just as pirate RPGs hammered the doors. But in that moment of chaos, the captain's final act of defiance had already set the trap in motion. Before the horde overran the controls, he activated a silent distress beacon, beaming the signal straight to the USS Freedom, a formidable aircraft carrier lurking 250 miles to the east in the Arabian Sea. The reaction was swift and unyielding. Within 6 minutes of the signal hitting the USS Freedom's command deck, alarms blared and the carrier's machinery sprang to life. Rear Admiral Elena Vargas, her face etched with resolve, gave the nod. Initiate Operation Shadow Strike. We go now. The flight deck swarmed with activity as 8 MH-60 Seahawk helicopters were rolled out, each loaded with 31 fully armed Navy SEALs and Marine Raiders, a total of 250 elite troops, hand-picked for boarding and rescue, clad in body armor and NVG's rifles at the ready. Simultaneously, 4 FA-18 Super Hornets were prepped with precision-guided bombs and Ju-21 miniguns capable of unleashing thousands of rounds per minute. In the hangars below, flight crews launched 15 MQ-25 Stingray drones, AI-powered scouts fitted with thermal cameras, microbomb bays, and real-time data feeds to the tactical hub. The assault unfolded in 4 meticulously coordinated waves. The first wave MQ-25 drones flew ahead to locate the hijacked vessel and scan for escort boats, their infrared eyes piercing the jamming haze. The second wave Super Hornets circled wide to suppress fire from above. The third wave Seahawks hugged the radar shadow zone for a low-altitude approach. The fourth wave ground teams are prepared to repel and secure. Live feeds from the drones confirmed the crew was alive, huddled in the Citadel, their thermal signatures steady amid the pirate shadows closing in. First jamming had blinded the radar, but the signal was sent and now the trap was closing. This wasn't just a rescue, it was a statement. And America was about to make it with overwhelming force and absolute precision. Proud to be American, hit like and subscribe to stay with us. The electronic jamming from the pirate drones began to falter under the crew's desperate countermeasures, and the U.S. Navy's response exploded into action with the fury of a gathering storm. Within moments of the distress signal hitting the USS Freedom's command deck, the carrier's flight operations ignited like a well-oiled machine. Rear Admiral Elena Vargas, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade, radioed the order: no one takes U.S. assets and walks away. Launch everything now. The deployment was swift and devastating, a masterclass in modern naval dominance honed where U.S. forces vaporized pirate swarms before they could consolidate. 15 MQ-25 Stingray drones, the Navy's cutting-edge AI-powered scouts surged ahead in radio silence, their thermal optics piercing the dawn haze to lock onto the pirate escort boats flanking the logistics ship 82 Echo. These unmanned predators fitted with microbomb bays and precision-guided munitions broke formation and unleashed hell. In under 10 seconds, 10 escort boats were vaporized, precision strikes detonating fuel lines and ammo caches, sending columns of fire and water erupting skyward as debris rained into the churning sea. The technology was educational in its lethality. Each drone's advanced algorithms adjusted mid-flight for wind shear and jamming remnants ensuring hits visible from miles away. 4 FA-18 Super Hornets thundered in from high altitude, their Ju-21 miniguns capable of 4,000 rounds per minute, raking the deck of the hijacked ship in strafing runs that chewed through pirate barricades and firing positions. RPGs detonated prematurely in mid-air sparks, flying as the jet's laser-guided bombs hammered key strongholds on the upper decks, turning sandbag nests into smoldering craters. The pirates, stunned by the aerial onslaught, scattered in panic, their shouts of triumph dissolving into screams as bullets sparked off railings and splintered crates. Proud to be an American, hit like and subscribe to see how we fight. Ropes uncoiled from the hovering MH-60 Seahawks and 250 Navy SEALs and Marine Raiders rappelled onto the deck in synchronized waves, moving like shadows forged in fire. Rifles scanning, voices barking clipped commands over headsets, they cleared the ship compartment by compartment. One fire team breached the bridge with flashbangs, neutralizing 2 pirates before they could raise their weapons. Another squad swept the engine room, suppressing fire, dropping hostiles in controlled bursts. In just 7 minutes, the deck was secured. 6 pirates lay dead, 6 more on their knees with hands zip-tied, eyes wide in shock at the ghosts who had materialized from the sky. No casualties to teammates' high accuracy, defined by years of rigorous training and tech like NVGs and encrypted comms that kept every move coordinated. U.S. operators' faces grim but unbreakable extracted the bound hostages from the Citadel medics, stabilizing the 5 wounded amid the acrid smoke. The enemy, once brazen, now crumpled in disbelief, captains who thought they ruled the waves reduced to trembling figures under American boots. The captured raiders, zip-tied and trembling under the watchful eyes of SEALs, spilled critical intel during hasty interrogations, GPS coordinates for their coastal lair, a sprawling compound 25 nautical miles inland, crammed with fuel dumps, ammo caches, and Houthi-supplied jamming gear. Within minutes, a squadron of MQ-25 Stingray drones, already airborne for reconnaissance, rerouted alongside 4 MQ-9 Reapers, the workhorses of precision strikes that had proven their mettle in post-piracy operations off Somalia's coast. These unmanned Avengers, loaded with Hellfire missiles and GBU-12 JDAM bombs, sliced through the morning haze, their AI-guided systems locking onto the base with unerring accuracy. The first Stingray unleashed a Hellfire, the missile streaking downward like a bolt of vengeance, slamming into the central command shack with a thunderous roar. Flames erupted instantly, igniting a chain of explosions as fuel barrels detonated in rapid succession, consecutive blasts ripping through the compound like a demonic symphony, hurling debris 150 feet into the sky and crumpling steel structures like tin cans. The Reapers followed in relentless waves, their JDAMs falling with surgical fury on vehicle bays and hidden bunkers. One bomb struck an ammo cache, triggering a massive secondary detonation that engulfed the eastern perimeter in a fireball visible for miles, the shock wave cracking earth and scattering panicked pirates like leaves in a gale. Human panic gripped the base, screams pierced the air as raiders fled their posts, some clutching wounds from flying shrapnel, others diving into shallow trenches only to be buried under collapsing walls. Over 150 threats were neutralized in the barrage drones, vaporizing technical trucks with mounted guns, missiles, reducing radar towers to twisted skeletons, wreckage stretching 5 miles across the scrubland in a smoldering trail of destruction. By the assault's end, 80% of the base lay in ruins, a once impenetrable fortress reduced to craters and ash. Triumph surged through the USS Freedom's decks, the operators fist-pumping at monitors showing the crater's glow, a testament to American courage, where tech met human resolve to crush threats without mercy. Yet, amid the intensity, humanitarian valor shown SEAL teams in a daring insertion on the fringes pulled a handful of wounded survivors from the rubble, zip-tying them but stabilizing bleeding with field kits before airlift. It wasn't weakness. It was strength, a reminder that even in war's fury, America fights with honor. Like if you support the U.S. Navy. In the wake of the devastating strikes, pirate networks shattered like glass under a hammer. Communications silenced, smuggling routes abandoned, and coastal hideouts left desolate under the relentless sun. Shipping rates across the Indian Ocean plummeted for the first time in months as merchant vessels sailed unmolested, their captains breathing sighs of relief knowing the sea's predators had been caged. Bases that once buzzed with illicit deals now lay in darkness, their lights extinguished by the fire of American justice. Strike hard and the law will be restored. That's the moral etched into the sands of Somalia. A warning to the bad guys: nowhere is safe, no shadow deep enough to hide from the reach of those who defend freedom. Hostages safe, every link in the chain protected by determination. The crew of logistics ship 82 Echo emerged unbroken, their ordeal a testament to the unyielding spirit that binds a nation. This wasn't just a victory at sea, it was a global impact, a resounding warning to all hostile shores, from warlords in hidden coves to tyrants in distant halls, that America's resolve knows no bounds. Messages carved in fire across the shores, illuminating the truth: challenge us and face the storm. If you stand with our troops and believe in American strength, don't forget to subscribe and share this. Disclaimer: this content is a work of fiction intended for entertainment purposes only. Any resemblance to real events, places, or people is coincidental. The content does not represent the official views of any organization and does not promote violence, illegal behavior, or discrimination. Viewers should exercise their own judgment and not use this content for purposes other than entertainment.